Welcome back. We're looking into the PDP now, that internal matter within the political party, the recent court judgments, the nominations that were done. So who is where? That's what we will find out from the two gentlemen who are here with us in the studios. Sani Omar, former spokesperson for the PDP Presidential Campaign Council, as well as Silas Ono, who's a member of the PDP. Gentlemen, good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
Good morning, Chamberlain. Maugbe. Good morning.
Good morning, Chamberlain, Maugbe, and Okikiolu. Yeah, how are you?
Yeah, we're good. We're good. Do you know, it just appeared that they were happening so fast. They had nominated an acting national chairman, then the court decision came thereafter, and the reports this morning was like, well, the party was silent on that court decision. So let me start with you, Mr. Ma. What is current position now? Is the party united on what, the court judgment, or are they sticking with the acting nomination position?
Well, let me say that this crisis had been ongoing for a very long time, but it was like a Cold War. It started manifesting when some members of the National Working Committee, national officers, deputy national officers started resigning. However, it culminated into this situation when a court order was secured in Degema, in Port Harcourt, the River State. That court order, with due respect to the land judge, was not supposed to have been given, even though it's an ex parte order. Because in the PDP constitution, chapter 10 is very clear that the ward, the local government and the state has no power to discipline any NEC member. So how the land judge was convinced to have issued that court order was in itself a mystery. However, with the coming of the court order and in line with the rule of law and natural justice, the party decided that Uche Secondos, who the court order is addressing, should step aside, and the next person who constitutionally is empowered to become the chairman should act in that capacity, and which is the chairman, the deputy chairman South. That is what the constitution says. The deputy chairman South is supposed to act because the chairman is from the South. So the controversy surrounding who becomes the chairman and who, it just emanated because the elder was assumed to be sick and could not discharge the function. However, the elder himself came to the office and testified that he is sick, hale and hearty, and he can actually perform the functions of that office. And before Uche Secondos can return to his position, a court must also issue an order directing him to do so, because in line with the rule of law and natural justice. And so what happened was that before the court order came a little bit late, it came in the evening, while the party held a meeting in the morning and endorsed elder. So today we are going to be seeing Uche Secondos in his office discharging the functions that he was elected to serve over a mandate of 4 years.
What say you, Mr. Ono?
Well, thank you very much. First of all, let me start by emphasizing that the PDP is a strong family. And you will recall that it is a similar situation that led to the disintegration of APC when Adam Oshomole was suspended by his word. The party couldn't hold together anymore. But PDP, even after that, was still together and even stronger. You found two successors jostling for the #1 position out of love for the party, I would say. Now, that has been resolved. The deputy chairman South is the acting national chairman. And regarding the judgment that came from Kebbi, one is a bit curious as to what the content of the processes are before that judge. Whether it's an appeal against the decision of a high court of River State that another high court reversed, or is a fresh case concerning the position of the national chairmanship of the PDP, both of which I don't think the Kebbi State High Court have jurisdiction. So this tends towards judicial rascality by that judge who gave that order. And also, I'm a bit suspicious of the nature of that judgment, because you recall Kebbi State is an APC state. So I'm beginning to wonder whether there is a hand from the APC government to undermine the party. Now, that was the PDP. Now,
isn't that impugning the integrity of the judiciary?
Well, come on, it's not. It is the judge who sits on appeal over a coordinate court that is even impugning the integrity of the judiciary, because the content of that process must have indicated that a high court have asked secondus to step aside. For this judge to say he can come back, there must be such a disclosure. So if a judge knows that a high court have asked someone to step aside pending the determination of a suit, secondus have not been sacked.
Okay, but
he was just asked to step aside. Now that suit in Degama will go on. What if that judgment turns out totally against secondus? What is expected of secondus is to go before that Degama High Court, which I felt he did, and ask for a vacation of that order.
But something that seems to come from both of you gentlemen is that you both disagree with two court judgments that you don't think went the way you think it should have gone. So is this a political thing that if you don't like the way judgment is, you just say no, this is not right?
Now I'm speaking as a lawyer, right? Not just as a member of PDP here. I want to tell you that the judgment, the order by the High Court of Rivers State is still valid and subsistent. The Kebbi High Court can't vacate it.
My point is that the PDP is a registered party that operates everywhere in Nigeria. It has a registered office in every state of the federation. It can be sued and can sue in any part of the federation.
Yeah, but with the judiciary, that's
I'm trying to come to my point. Okay. Now, I'm trying to say that the issue of jurisdiction does not even arise, because is River State a jurisdiction of the PDP only, or is Kebbi State, can Jigawa State, can Nasarawa State?
Not necessarily the jurisdiction, but in terms of the levels of the court. Yeah. I mean, they're courts of coordinate jurisdiction.
Of course, what we are saying is that.
So the question is, do you think that the Kebbi State High Court should have sat on that matter?
I was trying to address some issues, but let me come to this more specifically. Please. Now, court of coordinate jurisdiction, the issues that will arise is whether the issue is a judgment or an ex parte order. That was an ex parte order. They didn't hear the other side. Now, do you go to a court which didn't even give you the benefits?
Okay. We'll continue from that point when we return in this break from both of you. So do stay with us.
We are here to express our displeasure over the incompetent, corrupt, and the bad leadership of Prince Uche Secondus, who misused the opportunity given to him by the masses and the national executive and the board of trustees of the PDP. He has turned the party into his personal affairs. He has sidelined everybody in Wadata Plaza. He has derailed from the objectives and the aims and the constitutional provision of the PDP. That is why we are calling for his immediate resignation as the PDP national chairman. We will continue to remobilize our people, to continue with the protests. If you do not resign, there is no any option than to decline our membership of the party, that's the PDP, to look for another political party that will carry the youth and the interests of the Nigerians at heart. The masses are the majority, and we believe the masses are the voice of the voiceless. The governors cannot decide of the majority. The majority are the masses. Minority cannot take a decision. We are the masses of this party. We are the supporters. We are the followers. We are the voters. Our decision is final, not for the governors.
Welcome back to Sunrise. Mr. Mark, could you go ahead and complete your point?
This issue has always been tackled by our land chief justices of the Federation over time, that ex parte orders that are likely to be reversed, that can create a situation of a reverse order in the future, should not be issued. So that order that was coming from Port Harcourt was an order that ordinarily should not have been given, because clearly in our constitution it is clear that the issues that were laid before his lordship was that, one, his ward has suspended him, his local government has suspended him, and his state has suspended him, and they don't have that power within our constitution. Section 10, chapter 10 of our constitution is very explicit. No member of NEC, and the chairman of the party is the chairman of NEC. You can't suspend him and then go to court and stamp it. It is wrong. So a court with a coordinate jurisdiction can set aside that and say, go ahead, we have seen it clearly. The other court didn't see it. We have seen it. You have a point. Go ahead and continue your job.
Well, thank you. First of all, every order of court is a judgment, albeit not the final judgment, but it is final on whatever it addresses. So even an ex parte order is a judgment interim, right? So and at the heart of this issue is our territorial jurisdiction. So there is an issue of jurisdiction. This is a matter between Rivers State PDP, not Kebbi State PDP and Secondus. And it is his ward, his local government and his state that took an action that was against his interests. And a judge had given an interim order saying, pending the determination of this suit, stay all activities as national chairman, because this judgment can go one way or the other. What if the judge removes him after all actions taken by him from the date of his suspension will be considered invalid? So it is even in the interest of the party that he steps aside and go back to that same court, get that order vacated, and this argument that the local government, the ward, and the state cannot suspend a NEC member should be canvassed before that court. And nothing says he cannot win. By the time this matter ends, he may emerge victorious, and then he will return if there is still time for him to continue as chairman. However, if events have overtaken his tenure, he will also still be credited as the national chairman of the party from the time he came in till the time the convention will take place. So that is the beauty of this. I don't think the judge in Rivers State should be hounded unnecessarily, because he is still here. What he did is even good for the party. What if tomorrow Secondus wins at the High Court, the state goes to Court of Appeal, and he wins, or they win, and then they go to Supreme Court, and Supreme Court decides and say what the word did was right?
Just as
it will still impact on us.
It would seem, I mean, both of you seem to pitch your tent with the particular order that you feel comfortable with. But I'd like to clear some things you said earlier on. And earlier on, you said the judgment from the Rivers High Court was a mistake, but still the party chose to go along with it. So does that mean the party, knowing fully well that it was a mistake, still went ahead with that particular judgment, obeying it? Because time and again we've seen political parties go to court. I mean, some say they go to shop for court orders and the rest, and it would seem this impugns the integrity of the court. So when you make that statement, are you trying to throw a shade at the judge, at the court, or essentially you're saying from where you stand, from your perspective, you think it is wrong?
No, it's not even about my perspective. It is about if the judge is giving an order that affects a political party, what he is supposed to look at are two things. First, the constitution of that party, and then the constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. These are the two issues that should, guide the judgment. Now, in our constitution, like I have actually said severally, that chapter 10 is very clear that because of the incessant ways that our party chairmen were consistently removed. Now look at Oshomole was removed by his ward. Maybe within the APC constitution, it is not there. That clause is not there. But in our party, that clause is there to stop people using ward, local government and state to remove a NEC member.
I think he tried to clear that air, that, I mean, it's for the meantime for him to step aside. But my question particularly is, having this sort of statement about our courts, don't you think that's a direct attack? Because I imagine that the judge considered all of these variables you raised, your constitution, Nigeria's constitution, before coming to that.
You should remember it's an ex parte order.
Right.
An ex parte order does not take the argument of the other side. It only takes the argument of the person who has come before the judge. So the judge is empowered by law to take action based on the arguments canvassed by the person looking for that order. So the person looking for that order cannot and will not go into chapter 10 and tell the judge that they don't have that right. He will look for things that will give him the benefit that the judgment will favor.
I mean, isn't that what lawyers do essentially? But that's why lawyers.
But that's why we are saying it's a one-sided thing. Because it's a one-sided thing, the other party also will look for a way out.
So is that the way?
Well, first of all, interim orders are given to preserve the state of affairs. Yeah, you can call that duress. And I believe this order is even more in the interest of Secondus himself and the PDP. I see no reason why PDP should be worried about the interim order, because if at the end of the day, like I said, the state loses, Secondus' record will still be clean. And he will never be a suspended national chairman. But if that position is upheld, the danger is if the rest is not preserved, all actions taken by Secondus, including the convention that we're talking about, would have been placed on illegality, and everything will be challenged in court. Now, why I am worried about the Kebbi State High Court is because Secondus also have the right to appeal that interim order. Why didn't he go to Court of Appeal to get that set aside? That the order can go, he should have done that. The Court of Appeal would have, I believe, upheld that order.
And that takes me to my next question, which I wanted to raise with you. You talked about the Kebbi State Court saying it's an APC state.
Yeah.
So essentially, it came across as though you were saying, because of that, you doubt the integrity of the court to be, to be essentially not colored by, partisan views and the rest. But for the Rivers High Court, you seem to agree with it. Is that because it's a PDP state and you imagine that state courts basically give judgment based on the parties in power?
Now get me right. I am not for the Rivers judgment or against the Kebbi judgment.
It sounds like you are.
Yeah,
actually.
no. I'm for what is right. Right? We all know that our high courts are largely controlled by politicians. They're not that independent. They are not. If you go to any state high court, whatever the government wants are likely to happen. So, especially in political cases, what happened in River State is an outcome of what the governor wanted. People are just going about it as if they don't. Wike and Secondus have issues. So that was an outcome of what Wike wanted. But when you come to territorial jurisdiction, that state high court has it. They can entertain that matter. Now, those who feel who disagree with Wike also want to show him they have a high court they control. So they went and procured the oil from Kebbi and brought it. And now say we have two judgments.
Can they both be described as what you politicians always call black market injunctions?
Well, this yeah. For this, I think I'd like to call on the NJC that they need to really deal with that judge in Kebbi State. You cannot turn the court into a political theater.
No, not the judge in Rivers.
What of the
judge
in
Rivers? Rivers, like I said, has territorial jurisdiction. This thing is happening in River State.
Yet you think the judgment may have been tainted by politics?
No. Now, that is a different thing entirely. That judge has the right to hear cases that emanate from River State, from Secondus ward. Now, the issue he has is whether the judge considered PDP constitution, not whether the judge has jurisdiction. And like I said, this order was given not based on the content of the case, but to preserve the rest. He will now begin hearing. They've not even started hearing. So when he begins hearing, that is when he will hear the argument of both sides. Like he said rightly, the judge heard one side and gave this order, which is correct, which is also are acceptable in
the nature of
practice,
party orders?
it is allowed. The judge has the right to hear one side and issue or grant an ex parte order.
At some point, I can't remember which official of the judiciary had said you have to notify or serve the other party if you're going to give an ex parte.
No.
When it has to do with certain matters.
Well, it's actually how do I say, discretional. The judges have a wide discretion in this kind of issues, right? So a judge may look at the content of that case and say it's highly contentious, so you must notify the other party. But a situation where maybe these people argued that we have suspended this man, his continued stay will affect the activity of the party nationwide if he takes any step further.
Okay, so they try to preserve that.
Let him step aside until we finish this case. Now, it seems to me very reasonable, right? It's very reasonable for the judge to say, okay, because I don't want your party to be rocked in crisis, step aside. This is just one person.
But the same way you argue that the judgment in Kebbi might have been unnecessary because they have the option to appeal the case in Rivers.
Yeah.
So don't they equally have the right to appeal this case in Kebbi?
Which the Kebbi one?
Yes.
No. What are they appealing?
Why should they?
The question is,
judge?
What are they appealing? Did the Kebbi judge sit on appeal over the Rivers case? He cannot. Did he say that the PDP should disregard the interim order given by the High Court of Rivers State?
No,
I don't think he will say
judge
so.
says they should restore secondus. Ask the chairman.
Now, if you want to restore somebody, you first of all vacate an order, even the Court of Appeal. If the Court of Appeal want to restore him, they will say, first of all, they will say, we have vacated this order and reinstate.
So, Mr. Ma, is this a problem?
No, he hasn't done that.
Number one, he has rightly captured it and said that states have control over the judiciary. And so since he has said that, it is very clear then that Wike had unfettered access to the judge, and he has directed the judge to do his bidding. Now, can you go back to that same judge whom Wike has control over?
But that's very clear. That's from his own assessment.
No, that's what he said.
But I also say
we were trying to say something here. Now, you can't go back there and start looking for that judgment to be vacated. This is not a matter, it's an ex parte order. It's not a matter that is, you have lost and then you are proceeding to a court of appeal.
So it's the right thing to do to go to another.
You can go to another court. We have witnessed it. Now, in the case of Makarfi versus Alimodu Sharif, we have been seeing so many. A court will issue an order in Abuja. Another court will issue an order.
So
in
the
Lagos.
question is,
and the party was also obeying them.
Doesn't that put your party in a bind?
It is the judiciary that should put its house in order, not.
No, but you people approach the judiciary.
Yeah, we approach them, and if we approach a judiciary and they decide to agree with us, it means that they are convinced that what they are doing is in order.
So practically speaking, now I'm wondering how it's going to work today, because here we see Mr. Logbodinyo briefing pressmen after the meeting of your party yesterday, your party members yesterday, what has been decided and who is now interim chairman. Now, what is going to happen today? I mean, is it just possible for Mr. Secondus to just walk back to office? What's going to happen to the NWC that he was supposed to be working with if they have since moved beyond that goalpost, so to speak?
Yesterday, when Ologbondio made that declaration, it was in the morning. When he made that declaration, that judgment has not come out. So it still puts Secondus outside the ring of the party. Now, with the new judgment, it has now reinstated him back. And so that statement by Kola Ologbondio is now overtaken by new events. Events have now overtaken that statement. So Secondus is supposed to report back to office. He has been directed by the court to resume his duties.
No, what I'm saying is, yes, indeed, that's what the court is saying. But I'm saying, practically speaking, I mean, there will be what the court has said, and then there will be how it will be carried out.
Writing.
Exactly. How do you think that this will be carried out?
I don't think there is any problem. When the court stopped him, Secondus didn't argue. He didn't go to say, I am above the court, so I must continue. He stepped aside. So now the court has reinstated him. He will go in and say, yes, I have now the power. I am backed by law to come back. So I'm coming back.
Okay, so Mr. Ono, did you see any injustice in that in terms of how he was removed initially? Did it feel a little? I mean, because he did point out that your party did put some safeguards in place to ensure that things like this do not happen, because it would seem that he had foreseen that this sort of thing could happen. Do you think that the manner in which he was asked to step aside in the first instance was just?
Well, I would not speak to the justice of the issue. And if it was unjust, he also have a right to pursue justice. But albeit he has to do that properly, right? Like I said, he can challenge even the interim order at the Court of Appeal. He can go before that judge also and ask the judge to vacate it, which I heard he did. He can also follow that case to the end, and he may win. So there is no injustice here yet. The party is not a personal property, right? The party is still running, and it will be suicidal for PDP. It will be suicidal for PDP to begin to say somebody have procured judgment here, we will now reverse what we have done yesterday. Somebody have done this here, because when will it stop?
So
if somebody
Mr.
tries,
cannot resume the
he cannot because the order of the High Court of Rivers State is still subsisting and valid. That case is still ongoing.
So what about the order of the Kebbi High Court?
Kebbi High Court cannot purport. The judge cannot even pretend to say he's vacating that order. He just made a statement. I'm sure when we see the content, it will be clear.
I have the content.
Good.
I
would have read it before
we can read it here.
You can read the judgment.
The judgment is very clear.
Okay, you can read it. Let us see or hear if that Kebbi judge said the order given by Rivers State High Court is hereby vacated. Secondus is hereby reinstated.
What the
Let's
judge
see
said.
if the judge said that. Can you read it?
What the judge said.
No, read it.
No, I don't want to
take time to rely on what you're saying.
Yes. What the judge said is that there were people who deposed to an affidavit. And in deposing to the affidavit, they raised issues. And those issues, the judge agreed with. And, so directed that the national chairman should resume his duties.
Let's hear what the issues are in the affidavit. Let's hear what his orders are. Now, if the party accepts this, the point I was trying to make is, if the party accepts, what stop another governor that is against the chairman from also issuing his own high court? And then we keep going.
But there's a legal procedure to reject this, isn't there?
To reject what?
If some people in the party say no, we can't accept this.
There is a principle of election, right? There are two conflicting judgments, and then the party will just weigh. This calls of equal jurisdiction.
So what? That's going to be a political solution.
No. They elect. Which one do we obey? Which one look like will harm us or help us? Right? So they will say this looks harmful. This looks better. We elect this. This is principle of election. So they will elect to go with the one that will preserve the rest, rather than one that will come and cause more confusion.
Essentially, pick and choose with judgment.
Yeah, because the judiciary have made themselves a laughing stock.
It's quite.
And that is why I say that judge in Kebbi should be sanctioned without delay.
It's quite convenient to blame the court, and I mean, you keep skipping the court in Rivers. He, of course, thinks the court in Rivers has a question to answer. But here's the thing: it's quite convenient to blame the courts. But don't forget, like Chamberlain referenced, the court did not approach you. Your party, or members of your party. Members of your party approach the court.
Yes.
So I think it's convenient to blame the court, but you're leaving out the major issue, which is the fact that on the one hand, you say you're a family. You say all is well, everything is sorted. I recall having an interview with party members and they say, we're fine, there's no fight, but clearly there are issues. So why would you say all is well in your party? Why would you say you're a family, yet you have members of that family approaching various courts, trying to essentially shop for judgments, as you say, what to bring down the party? Why don't you address that issue? Exhaust internal party mechanism, as you say. Why is it hard to do that?
Like I said, this is a bit curious because this conflicting order is coming from an APC state. So, for me, I feel APC is trying to destabilize the PDP. The family is still one, is intact. They met yesterday. There was a BOT meeting, there was NWC
members
meeting.
of the APC.
Well, if somebody want to pull down your house, certainly he will use insiders. It can't come out openly. They will certainly use insiders. I won't be surprised if Secondus, he may be fighting for his right legitimately, but he may not know where help is coming from.
So the PDP
The
can't
help may
harmonize
be
its
the help
members.
may be disguised.
Let me
finish, please. Let me finish. The help may be disguised, right? The help may be disguised, but it's still coming from the wrong place. Now, regarding who approaches the court, if you follow my trend, I'm not excusing what is going on in River State, but when a judge acts within the framework of his power and jurisdiction, right? I like to wait until the conclusion of the matter. The judge in River State is acting within his jurisdiction. Whether the case before him is right or wrong is not for him to decide until all arguments are taken before he will take a decision, right? But for now, he has given an interim order, which is not to say that he has found Secondus unworthy of remaining as national chairman. He's just saying, just to preserve the integrity of your party. Now, that of Kebbi, cannot, he should have asked, why is the chairman, why was he asked to go? Who asked him to go?
But you've not seen details of the chairman.
No. Every judge should inquire.
So how do you know
what led to his removal? Who asked him to leave? These questions must come up. And if they tell him it's the High Court of Rivers, he should decline jurisdiction.
The issue he has been hammering on, that Kebbi State is an APC state, does not even arise. Number one, let me tell you.
What about the issue of abuse of process?
Well, we will come to. Let me address this one, and then I'll come to abuse of process. First, in Kebbi State, we have the chairman of the Northwest Caucus of the PDP, Kabiru Sutenimu Turaki, SAN, is from Kebbi State. We have our former national chairman, who was also the former Board of Trustee chairman, Dr. Bello Haleru, is from Kebbi State. Kebbi State has...
Are you saying they are the ones that filed this action?
I'm not saying they are. I'm saying that we have a lot of PDP presence in Kebbi State, so you cannot say because it is because the governor is there. Will the governor direct the judiciary to issue an order?
Big men in state don't control party. The government does.
No, the court, the judge. We have an SAN. The judge cannot.
The general is from Kebbi.
It doesn't matter.
Start calling names.
Yes,
the governor is from Kebbi.
Yeah, the attorney general is worked under the SAN.
Oh.
So what are you talking about?
So what about the second matter of process?
The process, to me, the issue where he raised the issue of jurisdiction, I think is completely out of it. Because this PDP, like I have already mentioned, is a national party. And this is a national chairman. The national chairman was not elected by River State people. He was elected by the whole PDP in Nigeria. So you cannot limit him to River State.
But you've not addressed the issue of reining your members in.
No, sorry, please.
Because that's quite important, because this is a political party conversation. We can talk about the court all we want, but essentially how you play your politics within your party. Is your house in order?
Sorry, please. Let me just make a point, because talking about him being national chairman, you try to nationalize membership, right? Before he became national chairman of the PDP, he was, first of all, a member of PDP. And membership is at the ward, not at national. Every member of a political party, whichever party, your membership is at the ward. That is where you go and register.
So what happens to chapter 10 of your party's procedure?
That is what they will argue in court. Now, the ward have said, we have suspended you as a member of the party. The local government affirmed the suspension. The state affirmed the suspension. They can go and argue. He can bring his argument and say, because I'm a member of NEC and I'm the national chairman, the ward has no power to suspend me. Okay. He can go and make the argument in court.
He's trying to bring a pedestrian argument. And the argument is that because he registered in Rivers. If he registered in Rivers, Rivers State alone cannot make him national chairman.
That's a different thing.
No, it is not a different thing, because
you must be a member before you be qualified to contest for election.
The issue
in the party
before the court was to remove him as a national chairman.
No.
So it is not, you can't dismiss that and say because he's a member. It is his membership has led him to become the national chairman of the party.
Can you be a national chairman without being
delegates, over 5,000 delegates voted for him in Nigeria. Over 5,000 delegates. So how can only about 300 people say they have removed him?
Well, we'll wait and see how the meeting today will go to see what will happen. I know that we may not be surprised if they pull out a political solution to all of this. Parties do it a lot.
I'm very confident. I'm very confident Mr. Secondus will resume duty today.
And he's also confident that the party will do the same thing.
I think the party will go with the best option,
that's
which
what we always say
to
about
make sure we don't begin to get court orders every day.
Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed for coming on today.